자, 다라칭 Mongolia olur Hansa Prento Skazı Şörbin Zakçor Setirte Profesi Sus Kampanya Gülüç John Lee Ayın John Lee Gorcu
Good afternoon. The topic today I will discuss, as stated in the brochure, is permitting Mongolia. And as I'm putting together the presentation 2 days ago on the plane from Vancouver, I realized I didn't really have a lot to talk about regarding permitting Mongolia. But I'll do the best I can and hopefully share some insights with the audience here. It's a bit of history of prophecy. The history of prophecy in Mongolia is slightly just under 12 months. Prior, we acquired 2 assets in Mongolia through the acquisition of Red Hill Energy. And of that, of the Ulan-Uvu deposit, in the last 9 months, we have invested heavily, purchased equipment from Mongolian firms. 90% of our employees and consultants are Mongolians. We have about 50 to 100. This year so far, we've shipped 30,000 tons of coal to Darhan and Ethernet local power plants. And we have also upgraded in terms of provincial infrastructure, road and bridges, and looking to commit further. And for those who don't know where Ulan-Uvu is near the Russian-Mongolian border in northern Mongolia by the Saline province. We do have another project called Changana, which is gathering momentum. So far, in the last 10 months, we have been very fortunate to been granted another mining license in addition to Ulan-Uvu. So I have 2 mining licenses. And we begin initiating a mine mouth power plant project at Changana since July. And in November, we received the environmental impact assessment approval. And also very pleased to announce that we just learned less than a week ago that we received the government endorsement on this Changana power plant project. And therefore we'll have, as of yesterday, fully submitted our application with the Energy Regulatory Authority with the view of getting the license possibly within 60 days. And we're very aggressive in talking to international bankers and EPC contractors currently are in progress. So this is sort of what we've done in the last 12 months in Mongolia. I'm the chairman and CEO of the company. Company is based in Vancouver. I'm from Taiwan. We have a CFO that speaks Russian and several directors with well over 100 years of experience combined from South Africa, Eskom, in building coal mines and power plants. In the directorship, we have Mr. Chuka Baz, who is the president of Manas. He's also a substantial shareholder, as well as Shivko Subhav, who is the deputy CEO of EM Plus, our beloved Russian neighbor. And Greg Hall, director, several broker companies in Vancouver. So what's our secret to permitting? I think for you folks are familiar with the mining scene here, the booklet to getting a mining license is probably 1/10 of the size of a Bible. There's really not a lot of secret sauce to that. Everybody applies to the same code. So what is our logic? Well, I think from the top down for myself, I believe that as a foreign company exploring Mongolia, we're guests to your country. So very much imagine if you're a Mongolian company trying to apply for a mining or exploration license in Australia, where the Australian minister has to focus on dealing with the monolithic Chinese and Canadians and Indians. So what's your chance as a small Mongolian company looking to explore in Australia and getting their face time? Obviously not a lot. And I think that's why a lot of the smaller explorers, both based in Canada and elsewhere, are struggling, making a run here and being successful in Mongolia because they fail to understand, I think from the point of perspective of the Ministry of Natural Resources, that very limited amount of resources and you know, what are the incentives? What are the incentives for them to pay attention to you? So let me quickly go through what I believe are 3 of the key things that made us somewhat successful to where we are today. I think number one is you got to have local partnerships. You got to try to integrate yourself within the Mongolian ecosystem. And to that effect, talk to your stories about with Mongolian shareholders, plenty of very rich Mongolians, to the effect that Sprott Asset Management, private wealth are here soliciting Mongolian businesses. For your supply chain, look to strike strategic partnerships with your supplier, whether you need drill, rigs, labor, infrastructure, explorationists, what have you. As well as marketing, look to really hire competent Mongolians to help your company advance your causes. These are very important. And secondly is commitment to Mongolia. One of the key things is, if you want to be successful in Mongolia, amid all the different parties that are coming onto the scene, is you got to have local presence, which means you got to dedicate a full-time team here in Mongolia, and not on an ad hoc basis to foster relationships with Mongolia. I think Mongolia is being heard before as a country where certain explorers and companies committed to being in Mongolia eventually, after getting their mining licenses and sold their assets, uranium, for etc., to the Chinese. And obviously, I think Mongolia is not going to feel too good about it when they're not properly consulted and all of a sudden their key strategic assets are being flipped. And so therefore, I think in order to, again, gain the confidence of the key decision makers within Mongolia, you've got to foster and cultivate that relationships and create a level of trust. And thirdly, I think in addition to on the government ministry level, you also got to have ways of communicating with the local communities to get local buy-ins, both from people that live in the community as well as local representatives. We're lucky in that the Saline province, where Ulan-Ude resides, needs coal badly for their Darhan and Internet power plants. And so as a part of our commitment, as part of our exploration, as part of our commissioning the mine to production, getting the license, we committed to the government of supplying coal at a subsidized price to the local power plants. So I'm not saying that you have a Darhan and Ethernet right next to where you explore. I mean, but surely there are some tangible benefits that you can contribute to the local communities and actively enroll them into your project. And after all, I think Mongolians will have a lot better chance of petitioning your projects towards exploration and mining in the end than being a foreign company that do. And lastly but not least, you got to adhere to the mining code. Eventually, I think Mongolia is a lawful country, it's a democratic country, everything goes by the code. You cannot expect to have a successful mining operation without a proper environmental license, without a proper mining license, without a proper inspection team going through the protocol. And that is being fairly well documented in the mining code. I wouldn't want to go through the mining code here with you guys. In the end, the CEO of Dow Chemical, which is a highly successful international chemical company with operations worldwide, said something like to the effect of this: doing business, especially in Asian countries, really requires three key elements in place to be successful. And those are the three rules that prophecy adheres as well. And they are the rule of law, the rule of relationship, as I talked about commitment towards Mongolia, and the rule of logic. I think the rule of logic is very important also, especially in a growing economy with democracy that's evolving and with the legal frameworks evolving. You cannot expect your local partners and the government, even to some extent, adhere to everything by the law, because there's got to be some logic to the elements as a part of overall framework you're dealing with besides the law and relationships. I think I got about maybe 5 to 10 minutes left. I'd like to briefly hijack this presentation and promote a bit about our power plant, because I believe this is so critical to the future of Mongolia that deserves some attention with the audience here. The energy consumption overall very closely correlates to GDP. The Mongolian economy is growing at 10% a year for the last decade, more or less. But yet the last power plant was built in Mongolia over 20 years ago. And today Mongolia relies on very costly power import from both Russia and now from China. It just doesn't make sense to us, or as local Mongolians, to sell subsidized coal at discounted prices. Mongolian Mining Corporation has talked about to China while importing very costly electricity from Russia and China. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And the current Mongolian power plant emission standards are very low. As you can see here, if Mongolia keeps growing, the country is going to face dramatic critical deficits. And if you look at existing power supply structure, almost 20% of your power import coming from Russia and some part from China. This is the winter in Mongolia. And currently, your power plants are emitting 20 gram plus of particle matters, which are about 10 times the international standards. Your sulfur and nitrogen emissions are about 5 times the international standards. And not to mention all the coal that you burn in the gears. Changana is a 1 billion ton clean coal project with less than 1% sulfur. What we're looking to do is build for your country the most modern, clean, efficient 600 megawatt power plant project. And to that effect, we have spent over $2 million in the last 9 months going through feasibility study, going through the environmental licensing process, being granted the mining license, and in the final stage of getting this power plant commission, or getting this power plant license. Here's our project with the location. So here's Prophecy's commitment to Mongolia. It's to build a modern power plant with the best environmental efficiency standard. It's going to use less water because we can use state-of-the-art air-cooled system instead of water-cooled. It's going to burn less coal because it's better efficiency. It's going to produce less pollution, approximately 1/10 of what the pollutants being put out by the existing power plants. We're going to build the power plants with the best safety standards and with Mongolian content, create more skilled employment, and we're also committed to negotiating with the Mongolian people the best reasonable tariffs. And in fact, we encourage and welcome Dutch auction to promote transparency and speed to get this tariff process going and finalized. The benefits: reduce blackouts, reduce pollution. We're going to help Mongolia create energy independence. So we've endured the fiasco on diesel import from Russia. And just think about the thought of Russia currently supplying 20% of your electricity. It's quite a scary thought. No more Russian import electricity. And in fact, in addition to selling coal, we can even export electricity to China and Russia, which are running both countries' shortages. And in the end, it's going to save you money. So let's work together. With the government, we submitted the full application. We're looking for quick comments and reasonable in negotiating the tariffs. Community, we look for support for our project. We welcome you to give us feedback. We're in the Manus Tower, and voice your support and your opinions and concerns with us. And Prophecy, we're committed to listening to you and work with all levels, both the government, the provincial, and the residents here in the country. And we're going to bring the best capital and expertise towards the country and create a win-win situation for both Mongolia and Prophecy. So here's the timeline, and this is the most aggressive timeline we can put together, and we've demonstrated the ability to execute quickly. Is even if we're to do everything we can possibly at the fastest frame time possible, the power plant is not going to lit up until the middle of 2015. By then, the country's running negative 750 megawatt. So while you guys are talking about number 5, number 6, and number 7, we got to start act. Otherwise, we're not going to have power. It's a big problem. So we need your support. In the end, support us, and let's work together. Thank you very much.
За ноён Жон Луид баярлалаа.